So Fire Escape Academy Inspector Training, we're here in East Orange, New Jersey. Inspector Hewitt here. We're using this fire escape here, which is a training tower, if you want to look up, that they train in all day, and what to look for if you're doing a downtown walk around. First thing you're going to look for on any fire escape, you're looking, this is not too old, this is because of the type of grading, this is probably 25 plus years old, not 50 to 75 years old. But then if you get closer here, one of the first signs that you have an original fire escape is original hardware. Square head bolts, and or if you have square head bolts, it's 50 to 75 years old on average. This one is probably going to be in the 50-year range, 25 to 50, because we don't use square head bolts ever. If it's got rivets, 75 plus, so that fire escape at 155, it's got rivets. It's 92 years old, that boat. Okay. With that, as soon as I start seeing joints and corners that have original hardware, the only way to verify that, if they're in good condition, is a load test. Otherwise, if I take that bolt out, which is not a big process, is it? And I put 2 new hex head bolts in there, have I satisfied you that that's in good condition or repair? Okay, so I'm going to take these 2 bolts out. There's no evidence of rust. And I'm going to, Manny, if you want to come closer and look at that connection, and I put 2 new brand new bolts. You want me to load test it, or have I satisfied you in that it's structurally sound right now?
It should be structurally sound.
Perfect. So now in lieu of a load test, you're saying that I've satisfied you on the connection. Let's go over here to the side. You see this bracket here on the corner? It's a welded connection. I can verify that in one of 2 ways. I can load test it, which is very expensive, or I can x-ray it, which is also very expensive. But if I come in here and I drill a hole through that welded connection, which looks good to me still, but the only other way to verify it is load test it or x-ray it, and I put a bolt in there, 1/2 inch, 5/8. Have I satisfied you that in lieu of a load test, that bolt now is making you sleep well at night?
Yeah.
Will anybody get hurt? And if there's any opening of any kind, I'm going to silicone shut it. Okay? So we got the same thing in the back. So some of these bolts in the back, I have a choice. And that's what a hex head looks like. See, that's a hex head?
Yeah.
Look at the square heads. Okay? So the ladder has nothing but original hardware, because you look up, you see nothing. So on this fire escape, I would, to reinforce it, in lieu of a load test, I would re-bolt all the supports, even though they look good. Okay? So now let's look underneath here. You see that support going into the wall? Those supports into the wall, I have a way to verify them. I'll open up your wall over here, I'll jackhammer some big, huge hole, or I'll go inside and maybe there's a plate inside that I can verify. So if the inside plate looks good, the outside bolt looks good, there's the verification, and I'll take some pictures for you. Otherwise, the only other way to do it is load test it. But if I can't open this and I can't see it inside, and you say, hey, I need a guarantee, how about if I put next to it, 5 inches away, I drill a 3/4 hole into this masonry building, I put a Hilti epoxy bolt inside, and then I take a mechanical fastener and I bring it back to the connection. And I let sleeping dog lie. So you keep the original one, but I give you a brand new epoxy bolt into the wall. Have I satisfied you that the thing is structurally sound? Now I'm at 200%. Are you satisfied? Because that's a hidden that I can't. So I've talked to you about the main 2 hidden ones. Into the wall, which nobody can see without x-ray. I just duplicate it. It's faster. It's cheaper. Welded, I already talked about it, right? So now let's talk about these treads. All these treads. You see any change of bolts on all original hardware. Behind these, see all that rusting that's coming in behind all my clips. Yeah. On all that rusting, you think any of that is affecting the integrity of any bolt on your treads? So I can verify these if you like, but I got to load test it. Or in lieu of a load test, can I take out every single bolt, put in new hex head bolts, and before I do that, I got to take the tread out, clean it, prime it, put it back with new hex head bolts. Do you still want me to load test it after I change the bolts? So there's the gap. There's what I'm doing to you. I'm proving to you that it's ready for a load test so that you don't order a load test. Okay, that's a level 2. A level 2 is I take any knowns and unknowns and I go beyond any reasonable doubt that you are satisfied that they're structurally sound, so that you don't order a load test as it states in your code. Okay? So now let's take a look at any other things that we have on this fire escape. Because after I see this first floor, do I care about the other floors? Or did they just repeat themselves?
They should repeat.
Yeah,
They should be the same.
Whatever's wrong here is wrong here. Is there any other fire escape on this building? There's this stuff. Okay, so now let's go into this piece over here. See how it's starting to fall, separate? So all this is really just about verification of what can be seen and what cannot be seen. How about my grading? Any problem with my grading? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? All my connections. You see my connections into the corners? And they're all welded. Yeah. So it's a 50 to 75-year-old bolt in the corner. So I can say, let's load test it to prove to you that it's good, or can I change those two bolts in lieu of a load test? Sometimes those bolts are in great condition. They're in A1 condition. Can I put, is there room there for me to drill one more hole and put a fresh new bolt between them? There is. There is. Even over here, right? Is there room for me to put a bolt between these two bolts? One. Yeah. So in some cases, I don't even have to take out the bolt. It's like maybe a reinforcement bolt between the two. You know what I'm saying? And then whenever possible, seal it. Are you seeing rust getting in there? Yeah. So after I clean it, bolt it, I should always seal it with 50 or silicone. And as always, this fire escape needs a paint job. Are you aware of the renovators EPA lead law issue? Yeah, I've heard about that. 1978 or older, every structure is supposed to have lead-based primers. Is this older than 1978? So it has lead. I can't weld on it. 98% of all the fire escapes in the United States are bolted connection fire escapes. And I can't fix it with a weld, okay? But that's okay because everything's bolted anyway. So guys that don't want to come here and fix this with a weld, they can't because the EPA says no. And when I scrape and paint this, I have to have an EPA renovator's license. You get it on the weekend. It's an 8-hour course. It just teaches me how to put a piece of plastic down. It teaches me to wear the white suit. It doesn't make me wear oxygen masks and all these crazy things, but it makes me, in case this is a house with children, it makes me close this window, put a sign on it saying, please don't open the window while, and then as I collect all the chips that are here, I gotta properly collect them in my white suit, and then I gotta put it in the trash, in a dumpster. I can't just throw it out as regular trash because it's hazardous for the renovators. So, in our next class that we teach, when we teach you the final course, if we go downtown, we're going to be walking under apartment buildings, we're going to be walking on fire escapes that have cantilevers, we're going to be walking on fire escapes that have ladders, and this one is one that has no release arm on it, and it's chained. So this is a guillotine style. And she's supposed to have weights on this thing. Now, again, this is a training tower, but if I was to take that chain off, and I happen to be thinking about something over here, and somebody mistakenly releases that ladder, it's called a guillotine ladder. They will crush or kill anybody below them. So it must drop 2 to 3 feet per second. So it needs weights. This is made up of ladders over sidewalks, ladders over anywhere where there's an accidental release. If there's a dog, a child, or a person underneath here, they're going to get hurt or killed. So that's illegal to have this kind of setup over a public way. So all ladders must have a release. Cantilevers must drop 2 to 3 feet per second. We're going to cover that in the class. But right now, you're looking at, in order for me to satisfy the code in New Jersey, I must load test this, or I can provide you with a calculated load test, which is I've gone in and eliminated all the rust in every connection, eliminated any issue with welds, and eliminated any invisible into the wall by either verifying it with photographs for you or duplicating the connection because it was cheaper. And there's your satisfaction. That method is applied to any fire escape I'm ever going to see here in East Orange.